flipping through the newspapers, switching through multiple news channels, exploring different websites and online mediums for relevant news? Keeping up to date with important news is not only time-consuming but also requires meticulous upkeep of notes for thorough revision. With a limited period in hand and abundant resources to study from, do not let current affairs come in the way of your prelims success. Join the PT 365 program by Vision IAS and advance in your preparation for current affairs. Starting on 9th January at 5 p.m., this 20-day course offers comprehensive coverage of 1 year of current affairs in 60 hours. Join for improved knowledge with complete coverage of the Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana, Economic Survey, etc. Doubt-clearing sessions and mentoring for thorough knowledge. Access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus questions. Access to live and online classes for flexibility in timing. It's time to devote your energy to smart learning and not running. Enroll today and excel in UPSC prelims with a strong command of current affairs.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. India at the rate 2047, transforming India into a tech-driven economy, report released by NASSCOM. Highlighting linguistic diversity, PM emphasized on the role of Indian languages in influencing and enriching each other. India's liquefied natural gas imports from United States reached an all-time high. 3 years of India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Mercer Metal released India's Graduate Skill Index 2025. International Energy Agency released Electricity 2025 report. India is on the path to becoming a tech-driven economy. A new report by NASSCOM titled India at the rate 2047, Transforming India into a Tech-Driven Economy, lays out a strategic roadmap to propel the country towards high-income status, with a projected GDP of $23 to $35 trillion. But what does this transformation look like? Let's take a closer look. To begin with, sustained economic growth is key. The report outlines a target of 8 to 10% annual GDP growth, driven by an export-led economy, a diverse workforce, and accelerated advancements across multiple sectors. But what will drive this growth? A major sectoral shift. Services and manufacturing are expected to lead the charge, growing at around 10%, while agriculture is projected to grow at approximately 6%. At the same time, India's commitment to sustainability remains strong. The share of renewable energy in total power generation is expected to rise from 24% in 2023 to an ambitious 70% by 2047. Now, let's talk about the key sectors that will enable this transformation. Electronics will see revolutionary advancements, starting with AI-led product simulation in the next term, and progressing to quantum computing and neuromorphic chips in the long term. Meanwhile, the energy sector is expected to be driven by investments in microgrids and small modular reactors, ensuring cleaner and more efficient energy solutions. The chemicals industry will leverage AI-driven molecular design and customized formulations tailored to customer needs. A strong example comes from China, where manufacturing resources have been consolidated into specialized chemical parks. The automotive sector is shifting gears towards full-scale electrification, focusing on electric vehicles and solid-state battery technology. And when it comes to services, areas like finance and healthcare are set to be transformed through blockchain-enabled transactions and immersive telepresence treatments. But while this vision is ambitious, there are significant challenges India must overcome. Urban infrastructure is a major hurdle, with the need to build 70% of urban infrastructure by 2047. Then there's geopolitical turbulence, with rising protectionist tendencies affecting international trade and relations. Financial constraints also pose a challenge, as high levels of public and private debt could limit economic growth. Another pressing issue is climate change, which threatens food, water, and energy security due to global warming. And finally, the demographic transition. India must urgently adapt to an aging population within the next 25 years. So how can India navigate these challenges? The report provides key recommendations. For the government, building export-oriented infrastructure and pursuing India-centric agreements with global groups like ASEAN and the EU will be crucial. For corporates, investing in integrated foundational technologies is the way forward, such as incorporating real-time data systems on factory floors. With the right strategies in place, India is gearing up for a remarkable transformation. Now, we turn our attention to the rich linguistic diversity of India. The Prime Minister recently highlighted the crucial role of Indian languages in shaping our cultural and intellectual landscape. Linguistic diversity can be understood in two ways. First, by looking at the absolute number of languages spoken, and second, by analyzing the percentage of people speaking each language within the country. As per the 2011 census, India has over 99 non-scheduled languages, 22 scheduled languages, and 121 other languages spoken by people across the country. The People's Linguistic Survey of India, conducted in 2010, identified 780 languages, though unfortunately, 50 of these have gone extinct in the past 5 decades. Speaking of classification, Indian languages belong to several linguistic families, including Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Austro-Asiatic, Tibeto-Burmese, and others. This linguistic richness is further strengthened by constitutional provisions aimed at safeguarding and promoting language diversity in India. The 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution recognizes 22 scheduled languages, ensuring their protection and development. Additionally, Article 29 safeguards the language, script, and culture of any section of citizens, while Article 350B provides for a special officer for linguistic minorities, ensuring the interests of linguistic minority groups are protected. Moving on to the key initiatives taken to strengthen linguistic diversity, several steps have been implemented to support and promote Indian languages. The National Education Policy, or NEP 2020, for instance, mandates that the medium of instruction should be in the mother tongue or local language at least up to class 5, making education more accessible and inclusive. Further, Sahitya Academy plays a pivotal role in preserving and promoting Indian languages through its awards, publications, and research efforts. Technology also plays a major role in this mission, with initiatives like Bhashini and AI-driven translation tools making regional languages more accessible in the digital space. Additionally, certain languages receive the designation of classical language based on their historical significance and linguistic contributions. In 2021, the government also set up the Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti, a high-powered committee dedicated to promoting Indian languages. Linguistic diversity plays a crucial role in multiple areas. Economic facilitation. Language facilitates communication in trade through interpretation and translation, fostering better business relations and global outreach. Next, knowledge reservoirs. Indigenous and minority communities hold vast knowledge that remains accessible through their languages, preserving cultural heritage and traditional wisdom. Also, creativity enhancement. Plurilingualism boosts creativity and facilitates the flow of ideas across cultures, leading to innovation and artistic expression. India's linguistic diversity is not just a marker of our cultural richness, but also a key strength in our national identity. With continued efforts from the government, technology, and cultural institutions, we move towards a future where every language thrives and contributes to the nation's progress. Moving on, India's liquefied natural gas, or LNG, imports from the United States have reached an all-time high. According to the US Energy Information Administration, India's LNG imports from the US rose by more than 71% year-on-year during the first 11 months of 2024. But what's behind this surge? Let's take a closer look. To start with, what exactly is LNG? Liquefied natural gas is created by transforming natural gas into a liquid state by cooling it to minus 162 degrees Celsius or minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Since it is composed primarily of methane, around 90%, LNG is odorless, colorless, non-toxic, and non-corrosive. India is the fourth largest LNG importer globally, and its dependence on LNG is increasing rapidly. But why is it happening? One of the key reasons is India's focus on diversifying its energy basket. The country is making efforts to reduce its reliance on coal and transition to cleaner fuels like LNG. Additionally, Indian government has set an ambitious target to raise its share of natural gas in energy mix to 15% by 2030. This aligns with India's larger goal of transitioning to a gas-based economy and reducing its dependence on imported crude oil. Moreover, LNG is considered the cleanest fossil fuel, producing 40% less CO2 than coal and 30% less than oil, making it a crucial part of India's climate change commitments. However, the road to increasing LNG usage isn't without challenges. Higher prices and market volatility have posed significant hurdles, with global demand-supply imbalances partly due to geopolitical factors like Russia-Ukraine war causing price fluctuations. Additionally, India's inadequate pipeline network limits the distribution and availability of LNG, especially in remote areas. The country also faces the challenge of limited storage capacity, making it vulnerable to global LNG price swings. Despite these challenges, LNG is playing an essential role across various sectors in India. In residential use, it's utilized for heating water and buildings, as well as for cooking in homes. In power generation, LNG serves as a lower carbon alternative to coal in electricity production. Transport sector also benefits from LNG as a fuel for heavy-duty vehicles and ships, helping to reduce emissions. Additionally, in industrial sector, LNG is used as raw material for fertilizers, plastics and fabrics, making it a crucial component in manufacturing. To further promote LNG adoption, India has taken several initiatives. The government has introduced a draft LNG policy to encourage its use in transportation and mining. Additionally, in 2017, modifications were made to the Central Motor Vehicles Rules 1989 to include LNG as a transport fuel. India is making significant strides in expanding its LNG infrastructure, but challenges like price volatility and distribution constraints remain. Now, let's focus on a major milestone in India's trade relations, the 3-year journey of the India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA. Let's begin with some background. India and the UAE signed the CEPA on 18 February 2022, and it officially came into force on 1 May 2022. Notably, this is the first deep and full-fledged free trade agreement India has signed with any country in the last decade. So what does this agreement encompass? CEPA is a comprehensive deal covering various aspects such as trade in goods and services, pharmaceutical products, intellectual property rights, and investment. Now, let's talk about its significance. The agreement is expected to boost bilateral trade in goods to an ambitious $100 billion and trade in services to $15 billion over the next 5 years. Additionally, it is projected to create over 1 million job opportunities for the Indian workforce by enhancing trade liberalization and market access. But that's not all. Indian exporters benefit through preferential market access for labor-intensive goods, including textiles and engineering products. Meanwhile, UAE exporters enjoy zero-duty market access for 90% of exports to India, particularly benefiting their petrochemical, aluminium, and copper industries. Moreover, Indian businesses gain a stronger foothold in UAE's neighboring regions, especially the Gulf Cooperation Council states. 3 years on, what progress has been made under CEPA? The numbers speak for themselves. Bilateral merchandise trade has nearly doubled, soaring from $43.3 billion in FY 2020-21 to $83.7 billion in financial year 2023-24. Non-oil exports have also seen a remarkable rise, reaching $27.4 billion in 2023-24, driven by refined crude, gems and jewelry, high-tech goods and chemicals. Another significant outcome of CEPA is its impact on MSMEs. With increased market access and employment opportunities, Indian small and medium enterprises are benefiting greatly, especially with initiatives like Bharat Mart in Dubai, which is enhancing global trade prospects. Beyond trade, India-UAE relations continue to grow stronger. The two countries established diplomatic ties in 1972, and today, the UAE ranks as India's third largest trading partner and second largest export destination, with exports crossing $35.62 billion in FY 2023-24. Defense cooperation has also strengthened with joint exercises like Desert Eagle between the Air Forces and the Desert Cyclone military exercise. Clearly, the India-UAE CEPA has laid the foundation for a robust economic partnership, benefiting businesses, workers, and industries on both sides. Moving ahead, we take a closer look at the employability of Indian graduates in an AI-enabled workplace, as revealed by Mercer Metal's latest India Graduate Skill Index 2025. The findings highlight key trends, challenges, and initiatives shaping the job market for young professionals. So let's dive straight into the details. First, let's talk about overall employability. Unfortunately, there has been a decline in the employability of Indian graduates, dropping from 44.3% in 2023 to 42.6% in 2024. This dip is particularly noticeable in non-technical fields such as human resources and digital marketing. However, there is some good news. Graduates in technical job roles, especially in areas like artificial intelligence, continue to show the highest employability. Now, let's discuss gender disparity in employment readiness. The report shows that 43.4% of male graduates are employable, compared to 41.7% of female graduates. Moving on to another crucial factor, college background. Graduates from Tier 1 colleges exhibit the highest employability, reinforcing the significance of institutional reputation in securing jobs. But what about soft skills? Interestingly, 50% of Indian graduates are proficient in soft skills like emotional intelligence and creativity. While this is a positive sign, there is still room for improvement when it comes to workplace abilities like communication, teamwork, and critical thinking. So, what's causing this dip in employability? The report identifies several reasons. First, the education system leans heavily towards theoretical knowledge, leaving students with limited practical exposure. Second, the rapid advancement of AI and automation is reshaping job roles, demanding continuous upskilling. In fact, 28% of employers believe that a third of their workforce will need significant technical skill transformation by 2025 to stay competitive. Lastly, the soft skill gap remains a challenge, with many graduates lacking essential workplace abilities. To address these challenges, several initiatives have been launched. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana or PMKVY and Jan Shikshan Sansthan or JSS scheme focus on skill development to bridge industry requirements and workplace readiness. Additionally, initiatives like Stand Up India and Women in Science and Engineering Kiran or WISE Kiran aim to enhance employability among women. Apart from government efforts, different stakeholders also play a vital role in improving employability. For students, the focus should be on AI, coding, data science, and teamwork. Colleges need to adopt more practical and industry-focused learning approaches. Meanwhile, employers must invest in on-the-job training and internship programs to prepare graduates for real-world challenges. Clearly, while India's graduates face hurdles in employability, targeted skill development programs are working towards closing the gap. And as the job market evolves, continuous learning and adaptation will be key. Moving on, the International Energy Agency has released its Electricity 2025 report, highlighting key trends shaping the global and Indian power sector. From rising electricity demand to the growing role of renewables, let's dive into the details. First, global trends. The report reveals that global energy demand surged by 4.3% in 2024 and is projected to grow at nearly 4% annually through 2027. Notably, China has now overtaken the US and EU to become the world's largest electricity consumer. On the environmental front, CO2 emissions from electricity generation are expected to stabilize between 2025 and 2027, following a 1% rise in 2024. Interestingly, renewables like solar, wind, and hydropower are set to meet about 95% of the global electricity demand growth in the coming years. Next, India's power sector. Shifting focus to India, the country has witnessed a 5.8% rise in electricity demand in 2024, with an even higher growth rate of 6.3% annually expected from 2025 to 2027. When it comes to power generation, coal remains dominant, accounting for 74% of India's power mix in 2024. However, the share of renewable energy is set to grow from 21% in 2024 to 27% in 2027, with solar PV leading this expansion. Additionally, India's thermal power capacity is projected to rise to 283 gigawatt by 2032, while nuclear power generation has seen a 13% increase in 2024 and is expected to triple from 8.2 gigawatt to 22.5 gigawatt by 2031 to 32. Now, what's behind the surge in electricity consumption? Globally, the rise is driven by growing industrial production, especially in sectors like solar PV manufacturing, increasing use of air conditioning, expansion in EV charging infrastructure, and the rapid growth of data centers, particularly in China. In India, factors such as high economic growth, projected at 7% by the IMF, and severe heat waves have contributed to a rise in AC usage. Moreover, government initiatives like the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana and recent amendments to the Electricity Rights of Consumers Rules 2024 are streamlining solar power installations and electricity connections, further fueling demand. To support this rising energy demand, several key initiatives have been introduced. The National Electricity Plant Transmission 2024 aims to facilitate the transmission of 500 gigawatt of renewable capacity by 2030 and 600 gigawatt by 2032. The first offshore wind projects have also been approved, targeting an installation of 1 gigawatt capacity with 500 megawatt off the coast of both Gujarat and Tamil Nadu. Furthermore, budgetary support has been allocated to strengthen hydropower infrastructure. Alongside these renewable energy efforts, India is also planning to add 80 gigawatt of new coal capacity by 2030 to ensure a stable power supply. With electricity demand on the rise and renewables playing a bigger role, the energy sector is set for a significant transformation in the coming years. In today's Place in News, we will be discussing Honduras, whose capital is Tegucigalpa. Recently, India sent humanitarian assistance to Honduras in the aftermath of tropical storm Sara. Let's go over a few key facts about Honduras. It is located in Central America and shares its land borders with Guatemala and El Salvador to the west, Nicaragua to the south and east. It is bordered by the Caribbean Sea to the north and the Pacific Ocean to the south. The country's primary drainage system includes the Patuca and Ulua rivers, while its highest peak is Mount Las Venas. Additionally, the Gulf of Fonseca, which is shared by El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua, lies along its southern coast. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Recently, the RBI imposed a penalty of Rs 39 lakh on Citibank for failing to provide credit information to credit information companies or CICs. CICs collect public data, credit transactions, and payment histories of individuals and companies related to loans, credit cards, and other financial activities. The Indian Army contingent has departed for the joint military exercise Dharma Guardian, which is conducted in Japan. Dharma Guardian is an annual event held alternatively in India and Japan. Its aim is to enhance interoperability between the two forces while undertaking joint urban warfare and counter-terrorism operations under a UN mandate. Recently, 5 more cheetahs were added into Kuno National Park, which is located in the Shiopur district of Madhya Pradesh and extends across the Vindhyan Hills. The park derives its name from the Kuno River, a tributary of the Chambal River. Recently, the survival of around 90 false killer whales were reported following a mass stranding incident on a remote beach in Tasmania. False killer whales are found globally in all tropical and subtropical oceans, generally inhabiting deep offshore waters. They are dark grey, often appearing black, except for a small part of their ventral surface. As per recent reports, climate change is threatening Lake Ontario, which is part of the 5 Great Lakes of North America. The Great Lakes are Superior, the largest and deepest, Michigan, Huron, which has the longest shoreline, Erie, the shallowest, and Ontario, the smallest. The Prime Minister launched Phase 2 of the PM Awas Yojana Gramin. It was introduced by the Ministry of Rural Development in 2016. The objective is to provide affordable, pakka or solid homes with basic amenities to the rural poor, thereby ensuring housing for all in rural India. The Prime Minister of India is set to attend Jhumoir Binandini 2025 in Guwahati, Assam, an event that marks 200 years of Assam's tea industry. Jhumoir or Jhumur dance, a traditional folk dance primarily performed by the Assam Tea tribe and Adivasi communities of Assam during the harvest season, embodies the spirit of inclusivity, unity, and cultural pride. The government of the Bodoland territorial region in Assam has granted official recognition to Bathoism in the religion column. Bathoism is the folk religion of the Bodos, centered around the worship of the supreme god of the Bodos. In Bodo language, Ba means five and Do means deep philosophical thought. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.